Greetings and bienvenue, Musicom. Tonight we have more personal accounts of weird experiences from X.
Lived in an apartment building. Sister lived in the house next to mine. We had a raccoon problem. Whenever I went to the bathroom at night I would look out the window to see if the raccoon were out. Look out the window and scan across the rooftops of the buildings. No raccoon to be seen. See something big and triangular jutting out of the top of my sister's house. Thought for sure it wasn't there before, so I sit in silence and just stare at it. 5 minutes go by and it doesn't move. Convince myself it is just a part of the house and I'm stupid. Turn my bathroom light off and start to head back to my bedroom. Before I leave though, I peek out the window into the darkness one last time. See whatever was on top of my sister's house lifting up and scooting away. I have no idea what it was. I ran outside to see if I could get a better view of it, but it was gone. Going by the size of it, it had to have been about 4.5 feet tall, pitch black in color and very box-shaped with a point on top. No way it could have been a raccoon. I remember so vividly when it started moving because it sent chills up my spine. It sat perfectly still that whole time and only started moving when I turned the lights out and appeared to leave. Even now I get the heebie-jeebies just thinking of it.
I used to work as an overnight manager at Walmart from 2011 to 2014. A lot of my work was done patrolling the backrooms, making sure stock was correct, checking if anyone was stealing anything, slacking off, etc. And there was this one long hallway, one exit on both ends, freezers on one side and no windows. Now, working overnight, you see your fair share of spooks and weirdos, but this hallway, Jesus fucking Christ, every now and then while working on one side I'd glance at the other, see a tall, older, probably in his 50s to 60s, white guy lock eyes with me, turn and walk straight into and through the wall. Other nights while working I'd hear a loud thud, glance over and see something from the shelves on the floor, and nothing light, at that, fucking boxes of detergent, or packs of water, shit that doesn't just tip over. A few times the power speaker overhead would either make a loud pop and fizzle out or just click on, as if someone was using it, and make the absolute, lightest gurgling and mumbling sound, then end with a sharp static. The one thing that got to me, though, was this weird feeling of absolute dread while walking down the other, mostly unused end by myself. It was this genuine horror, as if I was being watched, and this uncontrollable panic that made me jump at the slightest sound. I had heard similar stories from other workers, but my favorite was from this sweet old black lady. Whenever I brought it up, her face went from joyful and careless to just deadpan and she said, "Let's not bring him up," and on. But the kicker, the store's not that old, so luckily I had a buddy who had worked there from day one. I asked him if anyone had ever died on site. Apparently a few may have kicked it in the parking lot, in an ambulance after leaving the store, whatever, but one man, a tall, older guy, had a heart attack in the backrooms.
I'll bite. This doesn't seem very spoopy in hindsight, but at the time it kinda freaked us out. At my friend's house, chilling in his kitchen after smoking some bud, we see a fly and start hunting it. Just stupid shit like trying to smack it out of the air. We were pretty high. End up giving up because it's hard to just smack a fly. Was scrolling through Facebook when I saw a fly land on a candle not 5 from my face. I swear to God I'm not joking, when the fucking thing turns toward me, buzzed its wings at me like it was taunting me, and flies away immediately after. My friend was on his phone and didn't see it, but he believes me when I tell him. We start going Rambo on this fly's ass. We want it dead. I end up smacking it with my hand once, not enough to kill it. Friend hits same fly in midair twice with the magazine, still not dead. Our guess was it was either a government spy drone, or some kind of mutated fly. We smacked that fucking thing as hard as we could and it still lived.
Here's another story. Not paranormal, but it scared the shit out of my friend and I. Be 13. Live in Texas. It's summer and hot as hell. Friend and I decide to get ice cream at corner store. Store is only about 4 blocks away and we'd go all the time. Start walking when friend says we should take a shortcut that her and another friend take. Friend gets us lost, so we turn around and are retracing our steps. Notice a white van drive by with spray-painted windows. I remember turning to my friend and saying, "Man, that looks like a creepy rape van," and her laughing. We keep walking and not even a minute later the van drives past us again, but in the opposite direction. The van stops right next to us with the driver's window facing us. The spray-painted window rolls down and a man with short black hair and a white tank top looks us up and down. He gives us a smile that sends complete chills down my spine, and something in my brain told me to GTFO there. As soon as this clicks, I see the guy start to open his door. I grabbed my friend's hand and told her to run. I'm running the fastest I've ever run in my life. We turn a corner and I tell my friend that we have to hide. We run through a person's driveway and into their backyard. There's a deck, so we hide under that. My friend is crying hysterically and saying things like he's going to find us anon, we're going to die. Cover her mouth and tell her to stop it or he'll find us. Hear the sound of his creaky old van drive by. It stops and I can hear his door opening. Sound of footsteps on the sidewalk going left, then right. Can hear his door shut again and the van driving away. We wait a few minutes to make sure he's gone before calling my friend's dad. Friend's family warns all the parents in the neighborhood about Van Guy. A few weeks later, the friend of my friend who'd shown her the shortcut had an encounter with Van Guy. She was close enough to her house to run. Wonder if he ever got arrested.
Couple of years ago, me and my co-worker would go drinking most night at a nearby restaurant with a lake bar. We took a break from work, didn't have to be back till around 3 a.m. for server maintenance to start from Korea. Anyway, we're just drinking in the outdoor patio in the back of the restaurant. There's a bunch of people celebrating something, but we mind our business. Little later, a guy comes from that large group and asks us for a cigarette. My coworker gives him one. Mind you, he doesn't look like he was part of the big group that was there. He did come out of it acting like he was. We get to talking and he asks us if we're Latino. We both say yeah. He was Latino as well. He introduced himself as a Set, which is a not unordinary name for what looked like a Mexican. He goes on about heritage and whatnot. Then starts talking about running marathons. He didn't look like a person who would do them. He showed us his medal he got for participating. Weird, he had it on him. We BS some more, we see that we have to leave to get back to work. We tell him we work down the street at this free-to-play company. He tells us he works a couple other cities over and that he has to leave too. We asked him if he's okay to drive, as we just have to walk down the street. He said he was okay and mentioned he didn't drive. So we walk with him around the outside of the place. The parking lot is big for the place. Still a few cars left in it. We start walking down the street and we can see him walking down the opposite side of the parking lot. He just walks away toward office buildings. We hope that he's probably drunk. Dude looked sober the entire time we were BSing. We walk to the intersection and look one more time where he was. Dude just straight up was gone. He should be visible from where we were at, and he had no business where he was heading. He wasn't from the area at all. Dude just vanished, going the wrong way from where he lived and with no ride.
Be between 7 to 9. I visit my cousin who lives on the other side of San Diego. He's a single child, BTW. We play and have fun, kid stuff. He has a pet tarantula, first time I ever held one. So eventually, we play tag or something involving me catching him. He runs upstairs into the main bathroom. Locks it. So me being 7 or 9 look under the door to ask him to come out cause it's cheating to lock the damn door. I ask him to unlock the door. His feet are visible like he's sitting on the toilet. Silent for about a minute. I don't know how, but he comes out of his mom's bedroom. He says he had to poop, so he went to his mom's bathroom. His mom calls us to dinner. He runs to the table, but before leaving I check under the door. He's still sitting there motionless. At that time of my life, I was an extremely stupid kid, so I disregard logic and go eat dinner with them. We drive home, with clone kid silent the whole time. So is his mom. They drop me off at my place. I tell my mom, who doesn't believe me. I never saw them or heard of them again. No one in my family remembers or acknowledges them. My mom has excellent memory, and she doesn't even remember it. My face when I'm the only guy who remembers. I had a play date with a clone kid.
B-21. In U.S. Army. We deploy in Iraq in 2004, pretty much feel the butterflies as soon as I leave the States. We are placed on a convoy to this field hospital. It's an old abandoned building that we turned into a quick clinic with a small inpatient service, stabilize then ship. Mortars go off into the night, can't hardly sleep. We all sleep on the floors, it's kind of hot but we are not staying for long. Some Iraqi guy brings his kid in, it's like 0500 ISH, screaming while our translator attempts to calm him. Huge laceration across his kid's stomach, but there's sutures already there. The incision looks surgical, horizontal across the stomach. The wound's still bleeding and the kid looks drugged. CPT Johns, the pa, takes the boy to the exam room. Father keeps messing with his cell phone frantically. The wound starts to dehiss as he peels the tiny dressing over it. A chrome cylinder slowly starts to slide out of his wound. It's about the size of a glow stick. Johns just grabs gauze and tries to hold pressure. I don some gloves and place gauze to control the bleeding too. It's just profuse at this point, as the team rushes to grab Oneg and a nurse starts an OA line. The pa looks puzzled as he's giving orders. The father is sweating and not even concerned with the kid, just punching numbers on his phone, hang up, and does it again. He orders everyone to stop and he smacks the telephone from the father's hand. He orders everyone to GTFO. Father arrested and 12 of those glow stick thingies were removed from this now dead kid's stomach. The father placed a makeshift IED in his son's stomach.
B9. Own 2 Chihuahua dogs. Live in a 2-story tall house. House has a tall ladder gate protecting the front door, covered with sharp crystal shards at the top for extra protection against burglars. Having breakfast in the kitchen, because I was recovering from a cold and skipped school. Be home alone, everyone was at work. I was nearly recovered so it was basically like a free weekend. Feels good man.jpg. Suddenly hear loud, insistent scratching at the front door. Assume dogs did it because they want to go outside so now I have to open the door for them. Kitchen is less than 3 meters away from the front door, so I get there in a second. Dogs aren't at the front door. Assume they're outside and they want in. Open door. There's nothing outside. Groans because I assume they might have changed their minds in less than 5 seconds and went to hide behind a bush or something. Yell their names. Both dogs come running down the stairs excitedly. They were at the top floor the entire time. Remember I'm home alone and no one has ringed the bell. Impossible to jump over. It didn't take me 5 seconds to reach the door and open it and no one was there. Realize I might have allowed something I can't see to enter the house. Shit my pants as I lock the door and hide with dogs in my room. I also asked my parents and my sister later that day, when they got home, if they ever went back home around lunch hour for reasons. But none of them did. I would have heard their keys at the gate door if that had been the case anyway, but I wanted to believe maybe I missed something. No luck at that though. I told them all of what had happened, and my parents thought maybe it was a very big rat or something that might have managed to squeeze its way in and scratch the door that loudly. My sister on the other side told me she did experience a few strange things on her own involving the doors, so who knows?
I live alone in a 1-bedroom house on the outskirts of town in Colorado, Basically, I have neighbors, but they're about a half-mile away. People here don't lock their doors kinda place. I usually do. But here is the story of the one time I forgot. Be me. Day off. Hanging out in my room playing video games. Hungry. Get up, open the bedroom door, walk into the hall. Freeze. I can hear the sound of someone rocking in the rocking chair in the corner of the living room. I'm about to go get my gun. Rocking stops, person gets up and comes into the hall. It's an old Native American man. Anon. How does he know my name? Also notice he's like 70 years old, no gun needed. If shit went south, I could take him. I play it coolish, ask him what's up and if I know him. Not yet, I am your neighbor. I let myself in. We haven't got the chance to be introduced yet. The guy talked a lot about how he was happy to meet me and stuff while I stared at him like he was crazy. He seems actually okay until... You know, Anon. There is evil in this world. I would advise you to not let it in. And he motioned to my unlocked front door. I glanced at the knife I left on the counter. He noticed, he was closer to it than I was. He picked it up. Where does this go? He asked. I pointed to the knife block, now feeling afraid. He put it in the knife block. Said thank you to me and left. So I still don't know what that was the fuck about, but I have never seen that man again. My GF said it was a spirit. I don't know.
For context, I have light eyes/skin/hair, but my mother is from Spain, so I speak fluid Spanish. Be me at 21 years old. Studying abroad. Make friends with a girl. She invites me to a party. When I arrive, there is hardly anyone else there. 2 other girls. That's it. Okay, whatever. Let loose, have a good time. The girls keep pushing liquor on me. Seems like they're drinking a lot too, so I go with it. Having fun until I hear one girl ask the other in Spanish, is now the time? The other girl answers in Spanish. She seems pretty out of it. I am feeling a bit dizzy and warm, nauseous on top of drunk, and now freaked out too. I say I have to go to the bathroom. Press my ear to the door. I hear them whispering to each other, asking if they gave me enough, if Carlos would be here soon to pick me up, if I was suspicious or having fun. Nope.png. Crawled out of the second floor bathroom window, landed with a thud. Ran as fast and far as I could before I felt too fucked up and fatigued. Ended up laying down on a bench in a park for a few hours, but fuck it. I was fine after resting for a bit. I think those girls drugged me, and were going to sell me to Carlos. Luckily I speak perfect Spanish, but look white as hell.
I've got one at secondhand from a friend that is known for embellishing his stories, but it's a good story. Only reason I give it any credit is because he described seeing something that he would not have known about otherwise. Just a little background on the building in the story. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It was a 5-story open-air TB hospital built in Louisville, Kentucky during the early 1900s and was the largest treatment center for TB in the world. Built on top of a hill, on land that even natives from the settler days deemed cursed, hundreds of thousands of people died of the disease in the building. It got so bad at a point, it is claimed one person died every hour on the hour. To prevent a constant line of hearses from lining up in front of the building, causing demoralization to the patients, and to keep the disease from spreading, a body slide was built where the deceased were pushed down from the morgue to a nearby rail line, where bodies would be loaded onto train cars to be taken for incineration. Being that the hospital was on the cutting edge of combating the disease, it was also a place of unnecessary medical procedures that bordered on inhumane and unethical. Once a cure was created, it was turned into a geriatric home some 20 years later. Being that they never renovated the hospital, living conditions were poor. Scenes described of patients being housed in solitary cells, wallowing in their own filth with icicles hanging off their beds because the never closed in the open-air sections were all too common. In conjunction with these poor conditions, being overcrowded and understaffed, the state stepped in and shut the place down in 1982. The 20-something-year-old degenerate hippie in the 80s, about to go out on the road to follow the Grateful Dead and sell tie-dye t-shirts, get into argument with parents afternoon before leaving town. Say fuck this noise, leave early with bag that was already packed. Can stay with friend, so no place to stay for the night. Get a wonderful, awful idea to go and stay in Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Place had only been abandoned for a few years, still quite a bit of random artifacts lying around, file cabinets, wheelchairs, spooky shit like that. Decides to go up the 3rd floor, and settles down in the middle of an interior hallway. It begins to piss rain outside. Sits in hallway, reading by flashlight, listening to tape deck, smoking cigarettes, drinking a beer. He notices something move at the opposite end of the hallway out of his peripheral. Puts stuff back into bag, thinking he may have to leave because of not wanting to deal with would-be security or others wanting to explore the property. Says keeps staring down the hallway until he sees a shadow move. The shadow, though, has no owner. Zoinks! Scoob.wave. Described it black as pitch and clearly having 4 limbs, slowly crawling its way down the hall, toward him, low, and on all fours. Pulls out .38 he had stolen from his dad for when he went out on the road. Takes aim and shoots. The shadow moves in a flash away from his line of fire, now on the wall, still slowly making its way toward him. Tries to shoot it several more times, the shadow being as unfazed, and now on the ceiling getting closer. Crawls back down to the wall, now less than 25 ft away. Takes a shot, knows he hit it squarely in center mass. The shadow moves again, and the wall it was on is completely bare, no bullet hole. Fuck this, I'm out. JPG runs out of the hospital, into the rain, all the way to his friend's house, and sleeps in his car. Fast forward 30 years. Be me, fucking around in his shop, get on the subject of Waverly Hills, tells me the story. Me being me, and up to date on my spoops of the place, I mention the creeper. What? Avi. Pull it up on his office computer, because he is not tech literate. Starts to read about it and turns white as a sheet. Walks out on the sidewalk and smokes. Never speaks about the place again. Never seen him actually spooked before, and he likes to over-exaggerate and overreact.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.